doing, everybody? You sound good. You sound good. Merry Toyota-thon, everybody. Happy Honda Days. I hope you're making it a December to remember. I am ready for this year to be done. I'm not naive enough to be like, 2024 is going to be my year. We don't walk in with that energy anymore. We've learned some things. But I'm ready for this year to be done. Tail end of August, beginning of September, I had a great day at work. Fantastic performance review with a boss that I love working with. Banner day. Awesome Tuesday. 23 hours and 50 minutes after that, I got let go from that job. Yeah, so like great Tuesday, not that great of a Wednesday. It's going to be okay. I have other gigs that I work on. I have other jobs. I have this. But that was the health insurance job. That was the one that was going to make sure that all of this stays held together. I know, it's a bummer. And yeah, that's the country we live in, where your ability to take care of your body, and then depending on how good your job is, your teeth, your eyes, and your brain are dependent on if you have a job or if you are married. So what I think I'm gonna have to ask you all here, Lynn, Massachusetts, is who here would like to marry me for health insurance? I gotta put it out there. If it goes well, I get to share good news with my parents when I go home this weekend. So, fingers crossed. You got some time to get to know me. You can think about it. But I will let you know that did click when I got up. We should get it looked at after the honeymoon would be great. Now, getting laid off is not embarrassing. I don't want anybody to ever feel as though they should be embarrassed if that happens to them. We have so little control over it. It's just the way the market works. But I individually am embarrassed. I need you to know that. And I'll say why. For this, I'm going to ask you all a question. Who here has been in a relationship with someone, you broke up, and then you got back together? Yeah, a couple of you. How'd that go? Yeah, poorly. It's generally the answer is poorly, or someone will go, ugh. That's the right reaction. And there's really only usually two ways that can go. So you get together, you get broken up with, you get back together, but you get to do the breaking up the second time. That's what you want. That's the Home Alone 2 or the Toy Story 2, the sequel that outperforms the original, right? That's what you want. But there's also the other way, where you get together, you get dumped, you get back together, and you get dumped again. That's the Wonder Woman 1984 of breakups. A sequel so bad it made me wonder, did I even like the original? And unfortunately, that's what happened with this job, because I had worked for them before, I got let go, they asked me to come back, and then I got let go again. I Wonder Woman 1984'd myself. It doesn't feel good to do that. It just doesn't. And there's actually an update to this story as of yesterday. So I'll share that with you. Guys, I got a professional booty call. The marketing department emailed me and they're like, hey, we see on Instagram you're doing well. We miss talking to you. Do you have some time in the next couple weeks? Professional booty cult. That's what that is. Now, for this, we're gonna have to go to the Now You See Me movies. Has anybody seen these? Okay, that's good, because, so the first one, ending is ridiculous. Like, it's okay as a movie, but then you get to the end and you're like, what the hell did I just watch? And then there's a second one. And I went out being like, the ending of this first one is ridiculous. Also, I need to see the second one immediately. And it was worse, like I expected. So before I tell you how this ends, who thinks I should say yes to the professional booty call? Round of applause. All right, I'm getting a couple yes. Most of you think I should say no. Yes? I already said yes, you guys, so it's too late. Yeah. Which is also to say, like, I hated the end of Now You See Me 1. Hated Now You See Me 2. If they make a third one, am I gonna go? You bet I am. It's just, listen, there are two reasons why I think it's, those of you that said no, I stand on my decision to say yes, and I have two reasons why. One, I don't believe in dream jobs. Dream jobs don't exist. No one dreams of working. I dream about making out with Great British Bake Off semifinalists, and sometimes I'm working at a day camp, and then people get that disease from annihilation where they turn into trees. That's That's what I dream about. I don't dream about going to work. So, like, I can do a thing if it's gonna get me paid, because I like living under a roof and having insurance like we talked about. Again, keep thinking about it. I'm not done yet. But the other reason is, women in the room, sometimes you go on a date because you're hungry. Okay? Like, even if you don't necessarily like the guy, but you know you're gonna get to eat, you're like, all right, I can entertain this. That's what that is. That is dating an educational technology company a couple hours a week so I can eat. For as long as that relationship will carry me that far. So I'm going to be fine. It's gonna be okay. And I'm still looking for jobs, but I do have contract work in the meantime, but I'm not super concerned because I know that I am employable. And I've known that I'm employable since the 8th grade. More specifically, since the summer between the 7th and the 8th grade. I went to space camp in 1999. Thank you very much. I'll answer a couple questions about that because sometimes questions arise. First, for folks of a certain age, I did not win it on a Nickelodeon game show. You'd be surprised how often people ask. I didn't have to go into any temples. I didn't have to scale an aggro crag. I was neither a wild nor crazy kid. My parents were just like, hey, do you want to go to camp? And we lived in Florida, so I said, yeah, I'll go to camp. End of the story. I also get asked, did you want to be an astronaut? No, not really. I went with people who wanted to be astronauts or engineers or pilots. I went as what the space program would probably now call the worst thing to go as, which is a Ben Affleck fan. I'll explain that. So, in 1998, we had 2 movies come out about asteroids hitting the Earth. One of them was Deep Impact, and the other was Armageddon. We were an Armageddon household. So when you get to go to space camp the summer after Ben Affleck goes to space, you do it. However, when you talk to actual scientists about what Ben Affleck would or would not have done in space for a week straight, they don't love it. And in fact, I learned this year, because I watched Armageddon over Memorial Day weekend to commemorate the fallen soldiers of the Space Force, that NASA uses Armageddon as a management training tool to teach their management what not to do. Who wants to guess how many mistakes are in Armageddon? It's a 2.5-hour movie. 40? More? 100? More? A lot correct, but I need a more precise number here. 2,000 is so many, it's a bit high. So anyone, we're aiming between 100 and 2,000. 400, lower. It's 168. That's almost 1 a minute for anyone who's interested. Actually, it's slightly over 1 a minute. Point being, yeah, scientists don't love being told that Ben Affleck was right. They know he was wrong. And yet, even after that, you were looking at the Space Camper of the Week for that week in July of 1999. An honor that because Space Camp has been shut down, I can no longer get, so that deserves some applause. Thank you. And I'll tell you how I got it. It's not that impressive of a story. Step 1, the last day of camp, my counselor comes down to the cafeteria. Our group is there. Sea of preteens in this cafeteria, losing their minds because their parents are coming. And he is just 19 years old, beleaguered by the energy of preteens all week. And he goes, I forgot to nominate someone for Space Camper of the Week. Who wants to be Space Camper of the Week? And in a sea of screaming children, I'm the only person in my group that heard him. I raised my hand. Step 1, done. Now, step 2, which I'm going to remind you was paid for in part by American tax dollars, was putting all of those names into a hat, or maybe it was a space helmet, I don't know, I wasn't there, and they picked a name out. So through a combination of slightly above average hearing and pure chance, you have the award winner who still has that honor on her resume. And she knows she's too old for it. But it's not for a lack of anybody's effort to get me to take it off. I have a master's degree. I went to graduate school, and my lead professor said, Amma, I don't think you need that on there. I said, Tom, I think I do, and let me tell you why. I think that story talks a little bit about who I am as a person. Okay? It shows that I am attentive in the face of distractions. It shows that I will go along with the process whether or not it makes sense, which is like 60% of having a job. And crucially for the work climate that we're in right now, a white guy dropped the ball. I, a black woman, picked it up and ran with it without saying anything so no one knew he made a mistake. And what company doesn't need that right now? So, like I said, still looking for a job and looking for a connection for health insurance, and now, I'm qualified for it. So that's my time. Thanks very much. Come see me after. I have movie stickers.